Hey crafters, Leo with the Dreaming Tree, and welcome to the assembly video for our Bowtique handbag. A little pun there because we've got a nice prominent bow on one side of this bag, and this is going to go pretty quick. I personally don't carry a handbag, but what I do like about this is that, well, we incorporated some really cool specialty papers. This one kind of almost has like a leathery look to it. It's double-sided. One side just doesn't seem as prominent as the other. I'm going to use, this has way more texture, so I'm going to use this side. And what we're going to do first is we're going to, well, I'll show you here. These two pieces here, these are identical, okay? So it doesn't matter which one we use. We're going to put that off to the side for a second. What we're going to do is start with in my case, the specialty papers, okay? You can see that I've got two of them there. And each of these is going to take one of these, which, by the way, let me show you here. There we are, right there. See that I debossed that. I used my embossing folder, and I found one that fits this design perfectly. We'll make sure to link it in the supply list on the website. But super cool. So you're going to need one of each for these. Now, since one side has a bow and the other doesn't, we kind of finished it off with that. And then you'll also notice, well, this one's going to go here. On one of these panels, there's a little rectangle here, and that's for, I guess, a logo. And in our case, we did DT for Dreaming Tree. You could make it whatever you want, though. Customize it however you want. So let's first do this. And as far as placement on this one goes, well, we're just going to use this little section here, this detail, this curve and this straight section here to help us with the placement. So let's do that. And now, since I debossed, I'm applying glue onto an embossed section, which means that not all of it is going to be making contact with the surface. So you have to be pretty thorough with the glue application and also very patient with the time it needs to dry. So let's get that lined up at the top first, kind of using my fingers to feel it out, and then we'll press that down. Just be careful not to, if you're using this black paper that I am, not to get glue spilling all over this beautiful textured paper. Okay, there we go. And I'm just being very thorough with pressing down on these areas to make sure that it's going to hold nicely. Okay, there we go. And then for this little piece here, you'll notice that on this cut, there are two little markers that match up with this point here on both sides. And you'll also want to make sure this is flush with the bottom. So those two markers are essentially there to ensure that you get it centered. Okay, and it's going to look like that. So again, carefully, just make sure you're getting, if you're embossing, which you should. And I would love to say that we specifically designed this to fit this embossing folder, but that was pure luck, pure coincidence, which, you know what, that's okay. Sometimes that's how it works. Okay, don't forget, flush with the bottom. Use those little markers to help you with the centering. Okay, I'm going to kind of flip it this way, just feel to make sure that it is in fact flush, and then we'll start pressing down. I could have used the embossed side because that does look nice as well, but I feel like this more closely represents or mimics the stitching on a handbag that you would see, and it's typically this sort of look. Okay, so that looks perfect. And this is the one with the little rectangle here at the bottom, so we will not be placing this piece here. That's for the back. Okay, so that takes care of this one. And we're going to kind of repeat the same process on the other side here. So let's do that. Make sure that if you did emboss, that you have the correct side facing up, just so that we keep everything nice and consistent. And I noticed down here that I had a little bit too much glue right in that area. So I want to be careful, kind of using my middle finger to feel this little middle section. And then visually making sure that I'm getting it lined up accurately. This is the side. This is going to be on the back. So we're going to have this additional little piece that we'll put right here to kind of create that separation there. There we go. Do the same thing here. Again, this one will also have the same markers to help you with the centering. Make sure the bottom is flush with the bottom of our specialty leathery paper. I believe that 12 by 12 cardstock carries this stuff. So we'll try to make a kit for this as well. Okay, find that little marker. Feel the bottom. Find the other marker. That looks off to me. I'm gonna nudge that a little bit. Okay, feel, make sure it's flush with the bottom, and press that down. That looks pretty good. Okay. There we go. That works. Okay. So now that we have that in place, we'll go ahead and apply this additional little piece since it's going on the back. Okay, just like that. And that's going to go right here. I'll make sure I'm doing this right. There's a little bit of a round part of this. That's going to be pointing down. And let's make sure we get that good and centered. Really shouldn't see any white down at the bottom there. All right, so that's the back. Let's go back to the front, and we're going to find these three little pieces here. There's a black piece and a little, in our case, a gold DT little logo. We'll put a few dots of glue on this, and I'm going to thin that out with my finger since I'm putting it on a black piece here. There are some markers here to help you with the positioning of this to get it good and centered. Just like that. It's kind of classy. Press that down. We'll flip it over and press from the back side. That looks good. And then we're going to mount this on this gold piece here. Try to maintain an even border all the way around. There we go. Press that down. That looks nice. And then find the one that has little markers there at the bottom, and we'll affix this to the front. This will be the front. Use those little markers to help you with the positioning. And there we go. Press that down gently. Actually, not gently. Give it a really good push. That's cute. Okay, so these two pieces are good to go. And what we're going to do is just kind of start building each side here. Okay, this is obviously going to get glued onto this piece here. And then you're going to need a white. We'll put this on first. You need a white. You need a white and a black. Okay, the black. If you're overlaying the black on the white and it's not quite fitting right, flip your white over, okay? Because it's got a little bit of variation to it. It's not perfectly symmetrical. Okay, so I'm going to take and start applying glue to around the buckle area here, nice and easy. Don't overdo it. There we go. And you can see this is going to go on the inside. Should be flush with the inside of the white part, like so. And you might need to kind of nudge things a little bit. Wow, that really stuck so quick. I was not expecting that. Okay. Okay, and then you'll notice on these little gold elements for the buckles that one side is a little bit thicker than the other. So just make sure that you're putting it in the correct spot. The thicker elements are arranged facing the inside of the little handle. Okay, make sure your fingers are clear of any glue so we don't blemish that gold. I'm going to flip it over and push down from the other side in case I do. There we go. That's nice. Okay, and again, the thicker gold part is going to be towards the inside. I bet even if you mix that up, it's not going to look horrible, but just trying to make sure you're doing it as designed. Pardon my head. Whoops. There we go. Flip that over, push down. Okay. That one's good to go. So let's kind of take a look and see how this is going to eventually look. Okay, so you can see how things are starting to come together. So that's one side. And let's grab the two little gold elements and let's check see how it fits. I think that fits pretty good. I'm going to flip this around just to check the other way to see if it fits better maybe. I think that's fine. Either way. Should technically be symmetrical. I think Diana mentioned that. I think it's the gold pieces. Well, no, yeah, the gold pieces are definitely not symmetrical. I think that was by design. She was just letting me know to kind of be aware of it. Okay, so again, this black part going along the inside. So make sure it's flush with the inside. You shouldn't really see any white along the inner part of this. And just get the little black sections matched up nicely, especially here. There we go. Press that down. Perfect. And let's get our gold pieces in place. Let's not drop them. Okay, remember that little bit of a thicker piece is going to be along the inside. There we go. Grab that part in my head. Try to cover up as much of that black as you can. There we go. Flip that over, press down, and then one more. Okay. There we go. Got that one in place nicely. Press that down. Okay, cool. That's going to be the front. That's our back. We have a bow that we still need to assemble. We'll worry about that in a second. But let's go ahead and just get this glued onto this structure here. Okay, so we can take this whole thing and apply our glue. We'll get that glued onto the piece with the handle. And, you know, as we're doing this, we're sort of building additional strength to this whole handbag so it's not so floppy and wobbly. I think we're kind of known for that, making our projects tough, rough and tough, but cute and elegant and all sorts of other descriptive words. Okay, so that's that. That looks nice. And we'll take this piece and apply our glue. A little curly Q, a zigzag, whatever it takes. There we go. And I'm just going to match this up with the existing shadow layer. That looks good. Matches up beautifully. Perfect. Okay, press that down. I'll flip it over. And then once we create the structure, we're just going to glue this right onto the main structure and just kind of, as they say, call it a day. But that's cute. You could technically use this as kind of a card, like you can put that on the front of a card is what I'm trying to say. All right, so same thing here. We'll flip this over, get this applied to a semi-structural piece. Okay. Just match that up as accurately as you can. Make sure it's good and flush on all sides. Feels good. Press that down. There we go. And this is our back. Okay, there we go. Grab the hand portion, the handle. You know, sometimes I get so visually involved in this that my words escape me. I'm sure you've been there. Okay, and pop that into place. Line that up all the way around, a little rainbow shape. Press that down. We'll flip it over. Press that down, and there we go. Okay, front and back are done. Cute. All right, so let's take a look at the main structure here. It's made up of these two sections, okay? And you'll notice that we have a tab on one side. Now, for this, this is kind of like one of those sandwich bag folds. What I did was I started folding it here. You don't want to fold it too much, and then as you're kind of squeezing here, kind of push along this seam as well. You don't need to get it completely folded. It'll kind of just naturally over time, as you open and close it, these fibers will loosen up and it'll do what it needs to do. Okay, but in the meantime, let's go ahead and apply our glue to this tab. Doesn't matter which one you're using, they're both the same piece. And I'm going to spread that glue out to the very edges. Put that down on your surface, grab the other half, and this is going to line up nice and straight. Make sure it's lined up at the top. You're going to butt that right up to that score mark. And press down. And then take it and fold it over onto itself. And press at that seam. You'll notice that these two tabs here should be perfectly right on top of each other. Okay, keep holding that down for just some moments. Okay, wonderful. And then we'll head over here to the other tab and do the same thing. Let me clean this nozzle off. Okay, get your glue going on there. So we're creating the main structure slash compartment. Spread that glue out if you'd like. I just think it gives you a nice cleaner seams when you do that. And you can put that down flat with your glue like that, and this literally should just fall right into place since it is a symmetrical structure. Okay, be careful with that little glue that's sticking out there. And take it and fold it onto that seam and press down. That way the glue's got nowhere to go. Cool. Okay, so now you can see here, just naturally will start to kind of fold. And what we want to do, it's a little tricky here because we can't really put it on its face. What we're going to do is find, there's two of these. One, you'll notice, has a little L for liner cut into it. Okay, and what we're going to do is take the one that does not have the L, and we're going to glue that to this piece here. Again, a little bit awkward because of the handle, so you might just have to hold it up in the air. Get your glue on there, and if we make a little bit of a mess here, it's okay because the actual panel with all the decorative papers is going to go over this. It's going to hide it all. So if you make a mess, don't worry too much about it. But take that piece without the L, get it nice and centered, right out to the very edge there. You can actually, once you get it, put that down flat and press that down. Okay. All the way across. Take a look, that looks great. We're going to close this up. Let's move this back temporarily. And we're going to have to put glue on the remaining 3 tabs. If we don't get it done perfectly the first time, you can always go in and just kind of clean it up with our little painting method. But my glue right now is flowing like Niagara Falls. So I have a feeling that we're going to be okay. Plus, getting a little moisture in the air lately, and things are Well, I spoke too soon. I can tell by how tacky it already got that. Okay, anyway, we're going to close it up. We're going to focus on this side here first. Get that centered and out to the edge as far as it'll go. Right out to the edge, make a nice seam. The other two sides should just kind of fall into place. And once they do, go ahead and stick your hand in there, push down on the rest of the surface of the tab to help it get a good hold. And we'll take a look at the seams where we connected the bottom just to see how well we did. And if we need to, we can always go in and kind of clean it up a little bit, not a big deal. That side actually came out, wow, okay, whatever. The paper gods are with me today. But share this anyway, especially if this is your first time crafting with me. I always take any scraps that I have, just kind of cut them into little squares or rectangles or strips, put a little bit of glue on there, and if you need to, kind of stick that in there into any little areas to apply some extra glue, and then you can just press and hold that in place until it sets. Mine turned out perfect, so I don't even have to do that, okay? Now, one other thing that we're gonna do here, we have these two pieces, and this is also to help kind of reinforce the box. These are just gonna go in here, like so, okay? So we are going to apply glue to this entire structure, and then pop it in there, and we'll use our table to kind of help us get it in place. You can go a little bit heavier with the glue here. It's not going to be visible. Okay, so take that. I've got my texture side facing in, which also makes it look prettier. Push it down as far as it'll go, and then just make sure that it's all lined up with that front structure. Once it is, lay it down flat on your surface, and then press down on that entire shape to get it to bond. There we go. That's going to stiffen it up nicely for us. Okay, so that side's done. Do the same thing to the other side. Okay. I'll drop it in. I have my texture side facing in. Let it fall. Check your alignment. There we go, that looks good. Put it down flat, press down, and the entire structure. Okay, this last rectangular piece, this is a liner for the bottom, and that's going to make that stronger as well. Go ahead and just put a little rectangular zigzag hot dog looking thing on the bottom there, and just drop this in. We'll cover up those tabs and reinforce the bottom. There we go. Okay, so all that's left to do now is take and glue the main sections onto the bag here. You notice here I've got, this is a little not so straight. That's okay, because we can always put this down flat on our surface. All right, so what we're gonna do to get this to stick is actually apply glue to this surface, okay? Because part of the overlay that we're putting on actually hangs off and has nowhere to go. So we don't wanna put glue on that because we don't really know where not to put it unless we have like some crazy photographic memory. Okay, so just take that, line that up, kind of using the handle as my initial guide, taking a look at everything else, and then also, of course, the bottom needs to be good and flush. Once you have that, go ahead and flip it down onto your surface and push down from the inside. So, you know, over the years, we've made some complicated handbags. My goal now is to give the aesthetic every, you know, wonderful dimensional look that we can without overcomplicating and making the assembly process more tedious. Okay, so that's nice and flush at the bottom. Looks good. I have a little gap there, and I think it's just a byproduct of when it was drying, it kind of pulled away a little bit. So I'll grab a scrap piece of paper, and you can see how easily it kind of goes into that gap, and I'll paint a little extra glue on that. Okay, and then I will literally just press and hold that, give it a little extra TLC as I call it, until it's fully set. Okay, but in the meantime, let's go over here and we'll get the front of the bag glued into place. And then all that's left to do is make our little bow for the front, which would be super simple. Okay, grab your front and line that up, kind of using the handle again, then taking a look at the perimeter and then the bottom. Make sure it's nice and flush. I'll put that on my surface and just start pressing. And there you have it. Okay. So you could technically make it without the bow, but the bow's a nice touch, and you should do that. You should learn to make a cool paper bow. Look at that. That is elegant. You can squeeze it together. I love it. Definitely one of my faves. Okay, so let's wrap this up. We've got this little element for the bow. We've got some nice glitter here. We're going to start with the 2 thinner strips, and we've got little markers on here to help you with the positioning of the 2 thinner ones. Line that up with the markers. There's one. Now I'm going glitter on foil, which sometimes can be problematic, but this is that POW glitter, so it's fine. Okay, grab that one, pop it on there, pardon my head. Get that nice and centered. Make sure it's lined up with the other one. Sometimes those little markers are a tiny bit off. Okay, and then take the thicker one, throw a little glue on there, and just try to center it between the 2. And also make sure they're lined up nicely. It's kind of interesting how the brain naturally understands centering. At least I think it does. At least for me it does. I think it's pretty universal. Let's get that up there. There we go. And that looks good. I'll leave that, put that off to the side, let it dry. Okay, so here's our bow. And you'll notice that there's like a little G in the center, okay? What we're gonna do, you're gonna grab a dowel. Since this is a pretty big bow, grab the thickest dowel you have. I think this is about a 1/2 inch. And what we're gonna do, you're gonna take and place the one end of the actual loop between your finger and the dowel, lift it up about 45 degrees and run it through. We're gonna run it through a couple times. And each time we do that, kind of stretching and loosening those paper fibers a little bit so that when we bring it in, it doesn't crease right here. And that's what we're looking for. So we're going to leave that alone for a second. Do the same thing on the other side. I think about 4 times is good. And then take the 2 sections labeled with the G, and you can actually fold it so that you know exactly where to place your glue. Go ahead and place your glue on just that little rectangle. Take this one too, fold it, just to help you see what's going on here, and then place the 2 rectangles on top of each other. Make sure it's nice and straight. And press that down. Okay. And we have a G there, and that's okay. It's going to come out like this. And then you can fold this as well. We're going to take and apply glue there and glue that to the center to finish off the bow. Okay, pop that right in the middle. I'll pick this up, use my fingers to help me with the alignments, and give that a quick press. There we go, just like that. We'll take this one, fold it back, apply our glue, and bring that in. Get that nice and centered. You can use a dowel too if you want to kind of help you push that down. looks nice. And just kind of figure out which side you like better. They both look good to me. I'm going to take this piece now and glue that to the middle on the side that you want facing forward. Okay. Pop that right in there. Make sure it's nice and level and centered. Give that a press. Okay, and then we have our tail here. You'll notice that the tail is flat on one side. We're gonna pop this on the back here like so, and we're just gonna line that up so it matches up with that flat section. Also wanna make sure that it's nice and centered. So while I apply it, looking at it from the back, I'm gonna quickly turn it around. Just make sure you got it on there, flat. We'll flip it around. Whoops. We want this side. Well, that was almost a disaster. Try that again. Don't make that mistake. All right, make sure it's centered and flush. Take a look at it from the front. That looks good. So now we can pop that on there. I have a little bit of glue on the back of that. Hopefully it doesn't stick to my table. It shouldn't. It might. There we go. Okay, you can take this tail, kind of train it out a little bit. And then you can see this flat part here is going to match up with this flat part here. And that's going to get glued on like that. Okay, I might break out the hot glue because it is kind of bulky and just get that hot glued on there, but that is going to do it. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please take a moment, visit us on our YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. There's also a little bell you can click on that'll give you notifications anytime we release a new project. And if you make this or anything from our new bundle, I'd love to see it, and so would the rest of our community. So head over to your Facebook, do a search for Dreaming Tree Official. That's where you'll find about 48,000 of our closest crafty friends. And that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And as always, I look forward to crafting with you again. Hey, thanks for crafting along with me. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, check out some of our other videos and please consider hitting that subscribe button. Also, don't forget to visit our site and check out our free SVG section where you'll find over 140 free SVG files complete with assembly tutorials. I'll see you in the craft room.